The sterile smell of antiseptic hung in the air, punctuated by the soft beeping of machines. Eleanor lay motionless in the hospital bed, her frail figure a stark contrast to the vibrant woman she once was. The room felt heavy, filled with unsaid words and unshared tears. Outside, a storm rumbled, mirroring the turmoil that brewed within her family, gathered around her bedside. "We have to make a decision," Thomas said, his voice trembling. He glanced at his sister Clara, who stood with arms crossed, a look of fierce determination on her face. "Mum deserves every moment she can have, no matter how small," Clara argued. "Choosing euthanasia, that's saying we give up on her." Her eyes shone with defiance, but also with fear of losing her mother, the woman who had been her rock. Thomas's heart ached as he thought of all the moments shared with Eleanor. "But what if she's suffering?" he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. Memories flooded his mind, picnics in the park, laughter echoing through their home, the warmth of his mother's embrace. He felt the weight of their shared love. The bond that had shaped him. What would she want? Own. Clara shook her head, frustration boiling over. She would want to fight, to live. Her voice cracked, revealing the fear that lay beneath her anger. Could they really decide to end it? The thought gripped her like a vice. In the corner of the room, Eleanor's heart raced at the sound of their voices. She could hear them, feel their love and their fear. The thought of letting go sent a chill down her spine. Did they think she wanted this? Did they think she was ready to leave? A single tear escaped her eye, rolling down her cheek. In her mind, she envisioned the fields where she used to ride Jasper, the wind in her hair, the sense of freedom and joy. "I want to live," she thought, desperately wishing they could hear her unspoken words. But how could she tell them? Would they even listen? "Mum," Thomas finally said, his voice breaking the silence, "we need to know what you want." He leaned closer, searching her eyes for a flicker of hope, a sign that she was still in there, fighting. Suddenly, Clara interjected, "What if she can't decide for herself? What if she's not in the right state of mind?" Her voice trembled, uncertainty creeping into her strong facade. Eleanor felt the weight of their discussion pressing down on her. She wanted to shout, to scream, to tell them that through the haze of pain, she still felt the flicker of life within her. Did they not understand that every moment counted? The room fell silent, each family member lost in their own thoughts, grappling with the heavy burden of the decision that lay before them. It was a dilemma that felt insurmountable, a crossroads of life and death, where love and fear intertwined. Yet in the depths of her heart, Eleanor clung to a glimmer of hope. She could still feel the warmth of the sun on her face, the soft nicker of Jasper calling to her from the stables. "Please," she thought, "don't give up on me." The storm outside raged on, but within her stirred a quiet resolve, a longing to fight for every precious moment left. As Eleanor lay in her hospital bed, memories from her youth began to swirl in her mind like leaves dancing in the wind. She could almost hear the soft thud of hooves against the ground and feel the warmth of the sun shining down on her. In her thoughts, she was no longer confined to the sterile walls of the hospital. She was free, riding Jasper through the endless fields that stretched out before her. Eleanor remembered the first time she met Jasper. He was a little foal, with big, curious eyes and a gentle demeanor. The moment she saw him, a spark ignited within her. They became inseparable. Together they explored the world, sharing laughter and adventure. They galloped through the fields, with Eleanor's laughter ringing out like music in the air. Those moments were filled with pure joy, a reminder of the life she once lived. As her family debated her future just outside her door, Eleanor felt a tug at her heart. Their voices intertwined with her memories, creating a bittersweet symphony in her mind. She could hear Thomas expressing his worries about her suffering, while Clara's passionate defense of life echoed strongly, urging everyone not to give up. Each word they spoke pulled her deeper into the turmoil of her current situation. In her reverie, Eleanor recalled the summer days spent with Jasper, the two of them racing against the wind. She felt alive during those rides, her worries fading away. Jasper was not just a horse, he was her confidant, the keeper of her dreams and secrets. Whenever she felt sad or lost, she would find comfort in his presence, whispering her fears and hopes into his soft, willing ears. He understood her in a way no one else ever could. The tension in the hospital room seemed to seep into her thoughts. She longed to share her memories with her family, to show them that her spirit was still strong and vibrant. But how could she reach them? How could she tell them that she wanted to live, that she still had dreams and moments left to experience? Eleanor's heart sank as she envisioned their faces, filled with uncertainty and fear. Did they not see the fight still burning inside her? Even as her body grew weak, her spirit remained undaunted. She wanted to shout, to make them understand that life was not just about existing. It was about feeling, loving, and connecting. The memories of Jasper's gentle nicker echoed in her mind, urging her on. She could almost see him standing proudly in the barn, waiting for her to return. In that moment, she resolved to hold on to hope. She would not let her family decide her fate based on fear. They needed to know that she was still here, still Eleanor, the girl who rode through the fields, chasing the sun. As the discussions outside continued, Eleanor focused on the bond she shared with Jasper. It was a bond filled with love, joy, and adventure. With each passing moment, she felt a growing sense of determination. She wanted her family to understand that every moment mattered, that her life was worth fighting for. In the depths of her heart, Eleanor clung tightly to her memories, her laughter, and her love for Jasper. The storm outside rumbled on, but within her, a quiet strength began to grow. She was ready to fight for every precious moment left, to embrace life once again, just as she had done so many years ago with her beloved horse. The atmosphere in the hospital room was thick with tension, as Eleanor's family continued their heated discussion about her future. Suddenly, the sound of hooves echoed through the halls, a sharp contrast to the somber mood. The door swung open, and in trotted Jasper, Eleanor's beloved horse. His presence was unexpected and electrifying, breaking the heavy silence that hung in the air. Eleanor's heart raced as she caught sight of Jasper. The moment their eyes met, a spark ignited within her. A wave of emotions washed over her: joy, surprise, and an overwhelming sense of hope. She could hardly believe her eyes. It was as if time had stopped, and in that instant, she felt more alive than she had in days. Jasper's powerful spirit seemed to fill the room, pushing aside the heaviness of her family's conversation. The family turned in shock. Clara's mouth fell open, and Thomas blinked in disbelief. It was not every day that a horse could walk into a hospital room, especially one that belonged to Eleanor. They watched in amazement as Jasper walked over to her bedside, his gentle eyes searching for her. The sight of him stirred something deep within Eleanor, and she could feel her spirit lifting. As Jasper nuzzled her hand, Eleanor's heart swelled. Tears filled her eyes, but they were tears of joy. She could feel the bond they shared, a connection that went beyond words. In that moment, the memories of their adventures flooded back, riding through the fields, feeling the wind in her hair, and laughing under the sun. Those moments seemed to come alive again, reminding Eleanor of the strength she had inside her. Eleanor's family watched, their expressions shifting from shock to wonder. They could see the change in Eleanor as Jasper stood by her side, his presence acting like a beacon of hope. It was as if he had brought a piece of the outside world into the sterile room, a reminder of life's beauty and unpredictability. For a moment, the weight of their decision about euthanasia seemed to lift, replaced by a renewed sense of possibility. Thomas stepped closer, his heart softening as he observed the scene. He could see how much Jasper meant to Eleanor, how their bond was a lifeline. Clara, too, began to feel the shift. The love and connection between Eleanor and her horse were undeniable. It sparked something within her, an understanding that perhaps life was not just about medical decisions but about love and hope. The atmosphere in the room transformed. Laughter, once replaced by somber discussions, filled the air as the family began to talk about the memories they shared with Eleanor and Jasper. They recalled stories of her riding adventures, her dreams, and her laughter echoing across the fields. Each shared memory seemed to kindle a flame of hope, pushing away the darkness that had settled in their hearts. Eleanor's spirit soared. She felt her body come alive with the energy that Jasper radiated. His presence reminded her that life was still worth fighting for. She wanted to tell her family how much she longed to ride again, to feel the freedom of the wind and the joy of living. And she knew that with Jasper by her side, anything was possible. As the family gathered around, they began to see that Jasper was more than just a horse. He was a symbol of life's unpredictable beauty. He represented the love that Eleanor had always cherished, and the joy that could still be found, even in the darkest of times. In that moment, they all realized that love had the power to heal, to inspire, and to bring them back together. The fight for Eleanor's life was far from over. and with Jasper's unexpected arrival, a new chapter began to unfold. Eleanor felt a surge of renewed strength coursing through her as she gazed at Jasper, her heart racing with possibilities. Her family, still reeling from the shock of his sudden arrival, began to sense a shift in the room. With a determined voice, Eleanor spoke up, surprising everyone. "I want to live. I want to ride again." Her words hung in the air, filled with a power that seemed to resonate with each family member. Thomas looked at Eleanor, his heart swelling with pride. He admired her courage and the fire that had ignited within her. Clara, standing nearby, felt her own resolve begin to crack. The sight of her mother, filled with hope and determination, stirred something deep inside her. She remembered all the moments of joy Eleanor had brought to their lives, and how much she had always fought for her family. As Eleanor's words sank in, the family began to rally around her. They exchanged glances, and slowly, the tension that had once divided them melted away. Clara stepped forward, taking Eleanor's hand. "We will fight for you, Mum. We will figure this out together." Her voice was steady, filled with a new sense of purpose. The doctor, who had been observing the emotional exchange, felt the weight of the moment. He approached the bed, his expression thoughtful. "Eleanor," he said gently, "your desire to live is powerful. It changes everything. We need to consider a new approach to your care." His words sparked a glimmer of hope in the room. The medical team had often focused on the harsh realities of Eleanor's condition, but now, they could see the potential for recovery through Eleanor's eyes. Eleanor's heart raced as she realized the impact of her words. She had always been a fighter, and now she felt that strength return. "I can do this," she said, her voice firm. "I want to ride Jasper again. I want to feel alive." The thought of riding through the fields, just like in her memories, filled her with warmth. As the family gathered closer, they began to share their ideas and hopes for Eleanor's recovery. Thomas suggested they look into rehabilitation programs, while Clara started discussing ways to make the hospital feel more like home. They spoke of bringing in photographs of happy memories, and perhaps even arranging for visits from Jasper. The ideas flowed freely, each one igniting a sense of optimism in Eleanor's heart. The atmosphere in the room transformed from one of despair to one of hope. Laughter began to replace the tears, as stories of Eleanor's past riding adventures filled the air. They recalled how she used to ride with the wind in her hair, the joy radiating from her as she galloped through the fields. Each memory was a reminder of what life could hold. Eleanor's heart swelled with love for her family. She could see the unwavering support in their eyes, and it filled her with a renewed sense of purpose. She knew she was not alone in this fight. Together, they would explore the possibilities of a life beyond the hospital walls, a life filled with laughter, love, and joy. As the chapter came to a close, a sense of optimism filled the room. The family was united, and Eleanor's wish to live had sparked a new journey. They were ready to face the challenges ahead together, and with Jasper's presence still lingering in their minds, the horizon looked a little brighter. Eleanor felt a spark of hope, knowing that this was just the beginning of a new chapter in her life. Eleanor's family gathered around her, their hearts filled with a mix of hope and determination. They knew that the journey ahead would not be easy, but they were ready to support Eleanor in her desire to recover. The air in the room buzzed with excitement as they discussed what steps they needed to take. "First, we need to talk about rehabilitation," Thomas said, his voice steady. He took a deep breath and continued. "We can find a program that will help you get stronger, Mum. They can help you walk and ride again." His eyes sparkled with optimism as he imagined his mother back in the saddle, riding through the fields with Jasper. Clara, still holding Eleanor's hand, nodded in agreement. "Yes, and we can make sure you have everything you need. We can bring in the things that make you feel happy and comfortable," she suggested. She thought about the photos they could hang up, pictures of family gatherings, birthdays, and those joyful days spent riding with Eleanor. Clara felt a warmth growing in her heart, knowing how much these memories meant to her mother. Eleanor listened closely, feeling the love surrounding her. She could see the spark of joy in Clara's eyes, and it made her feel stronger. "I want to feel the wind in my hair again," Eleanor said softly, a smile crossing her face. The thought of riding Jasper filled her with excitement and hope. As they continued to talk, the family began to outline a plan. They discussed scheduling visits from Jasper, so Eleanor could have the comfort of his presence during her recovery. "It would be great to have him here," Thomas said. "He is not just a horse, he is part of our family." The idea of having Jasper close by made everyone feel hopeful. They also talked about small ways to make the hospital feel more like home. Clara suggested bringing in a favorite blanket and some of Eleanor's favorite books. "We can create a space where you feel safe and loved," she added. The thought of surrounding Eleanor with familiar things filled them with joy. However, they also knew they would face challenges along the way. The recovery process would take time and effort. Eleanor thought about the hard work ahead, but she felt ready. "I know it will be tough, but I want to fight for my life," she said, her voice filled with determination. Her family nodded in agreement, ready to support her every step of the way. The atmosphere in the room shifted from uncertainty to excitement. They shared stories of Eleanor's past riding days, laughing at the fun they had as a family. Each story reminded them of the strength and joy Eleanor had always brought into their lives. It fueled their belief that she could rise again. As they wrapped up their discussion, Eleanor felt a sense of peace wash over her. She was no longer alone in her fight. Her family was united, ready to face the journey ahead together. They would tackle the challenges, celebrating each small victory along the way. With a heart full of love and hope, Eleanor looked at her family. They had sparked a new flame within her, and she felt ready to embrace the journey ahead. Together, they would make a plan, support each other, and chase the joy of life once more. The horizon seemed brighter, and Eleanor's spirit soared with the promise of new beginnings. Eleanor's recovery progressed slowly but surely. Each day in physical therapy brought new challenges, yet also small victories that filled her with hope. The hospital room became a place of healing, laughter, and connection. Eleanor focused on her goals, determined to feel stronger and to ride Jasper once again. During her therapy sessions, Eleanor worked hard to regain her strength. The therapist guided her through exercises, encouraging her to push herself. Eleanor felt the strain in her muscles, but she also felt a rush of excitement with every step she took. She imagined the day when she would ride Jasper, feeling the wind against her face and the joy of freedom. Jasper played a crucial role in Eleanor's recovery. The staff arranged for him to visit regularly. Each time Jasper entered the room, Eleanor's face lit up. The bond they shared was deep, and it brought life back into her spirit. She would reach out to touch him, feeling the warmth of his coat and the comfort of his presence. Jasper reminded her of the happiness that awaited her outside the hospital. As the days passed, Eleanor's family noticed the change in her. Laughter filled the room more often, and the heaviness they once felt began to lift. They shared stories and memories, recalling the adventures they had together. These moments of joy strengthened their bond, reminding them of the importance of family during difficult times. Clara spent extra time planning activities for Eleanor. She wanted to ensure that when Eleanor returned home, it would be a place filled with love and support. Clara brought in decorations that reminded Eleanor of the outdoors, creating a cheerful atmosphere. Her mother's smile made Clara's heart swell with pride. Thomas continued to encourage Eleanor, always reminding her of her strength. "You are a warrior, Mum," he would say, a smile on his face. His words motivated her to keep going, to push through the tough days. Eleanor felt grateful for her family's support, knowing that they believed in her every step of the way. A pivotal moment arrived, when Eleanor was finally ready for her first ride with Jasper after her recovery. The family gathered at the stables, excitement buzzing in the air. Eleanor felt nervous but also thrilled. This was the moment she had been waiting for, the moment that would show her how far she had come. With a steady hand, Thomas helped her onto Jasper's back. Eleanor took a deep breath, feeling the familiar rhythm of the horse beneath her. As she sat there, a sense of freedom washed over her. Clara and Thomas watched closely, their hearts filled with pride and joy. Eleanor gently nudged Jasper forward, and they began to move. The sensation of riding again was overwhelming. She felt the wind in her hair and the sun on her face, and for a moment, everything else faded away. The world outside the hospital was alive, and she was part of it once more. As they rode together, Eleanor's laughter echoed through the fields. It was a sound of pure joy, a testament to her journey, and the love that surrounded her. In that moment, all the struggles faded, replaced by the beauty of life and the strength of the human spirit. Eleanor knew that this was just the beginning. She had embraced life and found her way back to the things she loved. With her family by her side and Jasper beneath her, she was ready to face whatever came next, filled with hope and gratitude for the moments yet to come. The day had finally arrived. Eleanor was ready to ride again, and the air was filled with excitement as family and friends gathered at the stables to witness this special moment. The sun shone brightly, casting a warm glow over the green fields that surrounded them. It was a perfect day for a celebration of life and resilience. Eleanor stood beside Jasper, her faithful horse, feeling a mix of nerves and joy. She gazed into his gentle eyes and felt a deep connection that reminded her of all the adventures they had shared. Jasper seemed to sense her emotions, nuzzling her shoulder as if to say, We are in this together." Clara and Thomas watched from a distance, their hearts swelling with pride. Clara had spent days planning this moment, decorating the stables with flowers and colorful ribbons. She wanted everything to be perfect for her mother. Thomas had been Eleanor's biggest cheerleader throughout her recovery, and now he stood ready to support her one more time. As Eleanor climbed onto Jasper's back, a sense of calm washed over her. This was where she belonged, and she could feel the strength returning to her body. With a gentle nudge, she signaled to Jasper, and they began to walk forward. The familiar rhythm of his steps brought back memories of countless rides through the fields, and Eleanor felt a rush of happiness. The family erupted in cheers as Eleanor and Jasper moved together. Laughter filled the air, and it felt like a celebration of new beginnings. Clara clapped her hands, and Thomas shouted words of encouragement. They were all there, united in their love for Eleanor and the journey they had shared. As they rode, Eleanor felt the wind in her hair and the warmth of the sun on her face. It was exhilarating. Every stride Jasper took felt like a reminder of how far she had come. She looked around at the beautiful landscape, taking in the vibrant colors of the flowers and the gentle rustle of the leaves. Eleanor thought about her journey, from the dark days in the hospital to this moment of joy. She understood now that life was not just about the number of days lived, but about the moments that took her breath away. She felt grateful for her family's support and for the love that had pulled her through the hardest times. With each passing moment, Eleanor's confidence grew. She began to guide Jasper faster, feeling the thrill of freedom coursing through her veins. The world around her blurred, and all she could focus on was the bond she shared with her horse and the love of her family cheering her on. When they finally came to a stop, Eleanor dismounted and hugged Jasper tightly. Tears of joy filled her eyes as she turned to face her family. They rushed to her side, wrapping her in warm embraces, celebrating this incredible moment together. Eleanor looked into the faces of her loved ones, recognizing the lesson they had all learned throughout this journey. Life is precious, and every moment should be cherished. She felt a renewed sense of purpose, ready to embrace all that life had to offer. As she stood there, surrounded by laughter and love, Eleanor knew that this was not just a new chapter in her life, but a lasting legacy of hope and resilience. With Jasper by her side and her family around her, she was ready for whatever adventures lay ahead, knowing that love would always guide her. Share this story if you believe that love can conquer even the toughest challenges. Leave a comment about a moment of resilience that inspired you, and subscribe for more uplifting tales like this one.